in terms of environmental impact, sometimes I get the sense it's almost like the Wild West of figuring out how some of these compounds are impacting ecosystems or wildlife. In that, as you mentioned, we're so focused on still figuring out some of the human health effects that some of the effects in ecosystems that are already inherently tough to study, like offshore marine environments or animals that you can't ask a questionnaire to and figure out what health effects they're seeing. There's so much that we don't know about what these compounds are doing to the animals directly or to wildlife directly at an ecosystem scale, how they're throwing things off, particularly in terms of reproduction. So we know that these compounds can have impacts on developmental processes as well as endocrine function and lipid metabolism and fats and all that. And for birds especially, I'm really concerned that I see these changes in ambient concentrations in the birds, that we have X amount of PFAS and there are changes associated with that bird's fat profile. Those birds need that fat to migrate, and yet we have these large migration failures across the globe each year. How does that relate? I have really big questions about what we're doing to migratory ability of wildlife populations as we saturate them with these chemicals. I also am concerned about some areas where there's PFAS hotspots are considered fish no reproduction zones, where the populations essentially aren't sustaining themselves. I know Wilmington, North Carolina, that river is considered a no reproduction zone for some species of fish. How does that relate? We don't know enough about basic mechanisms of PFAS binding and partitioning, which is what STEEP seeks to tackle. We're still figuring that out for humans. We are just so far behind on what these are doing in the environment. I think it all loops back around as well to humans because we rely on functioning ecosystems for drinking water and the water cycle and food and this huge plethora of things that we haven't considered necessarily how PFAS are circling back and impacting us in the long run as the environment suffers.